terrible way we have to get together like this, but, you know, seeing everybody, I'm glad we're together like this right now. He would have loved this, and I just wish he was here with us. But as much as I'm going to wish and wish and wish all day, it's not going to happen. All I got to do for myself and my family, we just got to hold him down. Do what he will want us to do in life. I love you, Pops.
You must leave the area immediately. If you refuse to leave the area, you will be arrested for North Carolina General Statute. Under North Carolina General Statute, standing C or
But the fact of the matter is, it is not okay what you are doing, and the people are not intimidated.
If you have a good sheriff, however, they can stand in the gap. Because it takes someone who is going to be the boots and the billy club of the person who's giving the orders to make it happen.
You look like a fucking dork. Go home. Play Call of Duty.
You got to be subject to the law, whether you have on blue jeans or blue uniform. What is right is right is right.
I don't give a damn what it is. Because guess what? I'm ready to go to jail and die about it.
The people on the left have always understood that they would tell people, think globally, act locally. We need to understand what the global agenda is, but we need to act locally to counter it. And we need to do it in a way that occupies peace. We need to do it in a way that is going to make connections with each other locally, so we see each other as human beings and not as some figures on a Zoom meeting.
The Word of God teaches us in the book of Psalms. It says that if I had wings like a dove, then I would fly away and be at rest.
And let me tell you, when I look at the hammer and sickle, I know how they hammered people in the Soviet Union. And with the sickle, it's like the sickle of the Grim Reaper. They harvested hundreds of millions of lives, that authoritarian state. But you know, you had people there like Solzhenitsyn, and they hammered him, and they put him in the gulag, and they hammered him there. And they continued to hammer him, but he and other people like him wrote their samizdat, and they continued to resist. They understood that what they were after was not just controlling every aspect of their life, which is what the communists do, and they're doing it now, is controlling every aspect of people's lives. We will not be slaves to authoritarian communists. We will not be your slaves. We will not be reduced to the lowest common denominator. We will not be fed by their hands. And that's what they want to do to you. That's what UBI is. Universal Basic Income is nothing other than a plan to force feed you into slavery. It's the way you control and train your dog. And that's what they're doing to us now. You look at the hammer and sickle. And they continued to hammer these people. But you know, Goethe said, you are either hammer or anvil. Which one will you be? Will you be the hammer, the tool of the authoritarians to try to beat your neighbors into submission? Because you know, they hammered Solzhenitsyn and these other people, they hammered them again and again, and eventually the anvils, like Solzhenitsyn, broke the hammer. And they're going to continue to hammer us, and we're going to continue to take.
All right. I got to figure out a more smoothly transition there, but hello. There we go. All right. How you guys doing today? I also don't like I threw a couple clips in the beginning because I don't want to repeat myself 75 times waiting for people to come in the room and they're like, oh, what did I miss? What did I miss? So basically, I'll just recap really fast what happened this week. And then, because because, well, 2 days I didn't cover because my computer broke. Thank goodness that the guy who made the computer was able to fix it in literally like 3 hours the other day. So I got that back right around, quick turnaround. Next thing I want to go through, beyond the trial, is this monstrosity. 300 pages. It is the, let's see, Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility report on basically Epstein, and it occurred leading up to Maxwell's charges. So I assume that these have a lot of related things. And, I've already read the whole thing. I'm just kidding. I read the first 5 pages or so, and it really gives us a timeline. I want to go through those because it gives us a timeline of events leading up to these Maxwell charges now. How Maxwell was prosecuted, how the FBI, fortunately, they admitted, hey, somebody did something wrong here, and they went back and they investigated it. So obviously there's some good people somewhere out there doing the right thing. So let's just cover the week, I guess, really fast. Monday was the jury selection. And it was the biggest thing I learned that day was that there would be no audio or video recording of the trial, so that I would have to, I had to provide all the entertainment myself, which was, how we ended up here. Prosecution started their opening defense with, I want to tell you a story of a girl named Jane. So obviously they're trying to appeal to sympathy and stuff like that. Let me pull up so we can give you some kind of visual here beyond this. Boom. Day one, boom, boom, boom. All right, prosecution opens. I want to tell you about a girl. I want to tell you about a young girl named Jane. So then I'm not going to take too much time repeating this. I think I've covered this proficiently, so I'm just kind of flying through it, do a whole recap of the week. The defense rebuts. They basically are trying to say, they're either trying to say that these people are making it up, they're looking for money, or they're having fake memories. Ever using the language which I find so odd. Ever since Eve was accused of tempting Adam for the apple, women have been blamed for the bad behavior of men, and women are often villainized and punished far more than men ever are. That was their opening arguments. He tried to say he was a scapegoat for a man. She was a scapegoat for a man. Which I agree with in some ways, because it's likely that she's going to be the only one to get charged with this. Although we know others were involved, and their names came out on Tuesday when the pilot testified. Well, the pilot began testifying immediately after opening arguments on Monday. So quite a lot happened Monday. So the pilot testifies again on Tuesday. He dropped all the names, the black books floating around now again. You got Clinton, Spacey, and of course Trump. People make a big fuss about that. Obviously he was only on there once, though, compared to Clinton, who was 18 times? Somebody sent me a list. I'll read some of the other names. We got a lot of these might have just been victims, the people who traveled the most. Like Virginia Roberts was one of those. She was on the planes 28 times. I don't know why. She was on the planes only 3 more times than Bill Clinton, who's on there 25 times. You got, who else? No other names I really recognize on here. Jordan Dubin, was it Chris Rock? Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker went 11 times. Kevin Spacey went 11 times. So, Patsy Rogers, who's that? So you got a lot of names out there. The list is out there if you look. But the ones dropped in court on Tuesday were, Clinton, Spacey, and a few. Oh, Prince Andrews, that's a big one. And he kept saying something about electronics, flying around, going in Epstein's homes, putting electronics in there. And they didn't really specify what those were. So I think that was under some kind of court order. I haven't found that yet. I don't know. But I assume he literally kept saying electronics. So what was the pilot installing in Epstein's homes? I don't know. Then Jane took the stand Tuesday. That was her first day of testifying. Then we had Wednesday. The defense tries to impeach Jane. A a lot of drama probably happened in the courtroom that is best displayed by seeing it, but you can kind of pick up that there was some emotions happening in the courtroom as the prosecution or the defense tried to basically get Jane to break down on the stand. Boom, boom, boom. So, yeah, here we go. Going back to Tuesday, are you familiar with Prince Andrew? Yes, he flew on Epstein's plane. Yes, he did. I don't think his name was in the flight logs. Maybe he didn't put it in there. So Jane takes a stand. Boom. So she talks about being 14. She identified the defendant, which puts Maxwell in the courtroom. I know there's a lot of speculation that, Maxwell's not there. Somebody said she's in Gitmo, appearing on the TVs in the wings for the press. A lot of theories going on about that. But obviously we're not going to have photos of her because she's supposed to be in jail. And I assume she is. That's my assumption. I don't think she's, not there. You got the witness saying that she's there, so take with that what you will. Boom. I'm gonna carry down on here too. Make sure I'm not missing any big points. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so she waited 20 years to complain because, again, this goes back to the 90s, these complaints. Judge, go ahead and ask. Does this reflect your recollection? Talk about going to the theaters, how they groomed her into, especially Epstein. And Epstein I did confirm, so I can say Epstein was arrested for doing this. He pled guilty to it. So he's a registered sex offender, or was. So he did do this. I don't have to say allegedly anymore with him. He is convicted, and we're going to get into that in a moment because this case has a lot to do with that conviction. Actually, I think the prior conviction has everything to do with this case, this new trial. So the defense's strategy is to impeach the witness, trying, basically getting her to break down on the stand. And then, on Wednesday, her boyfriend testified, and some guy named Daniel. I don't know what he was doing. It's hard to get the details because you only got tweets for the most part. Thursday, day 4, Paul Kane. A lot of things happened on Thursday I don't understand. I didn't have time to research what happened in the courtroom, and the tweets were lacking. Simply because I think there's a lot of boring stuff. For example, we had a grooming expert, Dr. Lisa Rocio, came in, and she gave her expert testimony. So I'm sure that was long and drawn out. Just, if you watch the Rittenhouse trial and the woman analyzing the bullet casings, oh my goodness. She was, can you define a bullet for us? I don't know if you guys watched that, but it was quite interesting. Not really, though. Then we get Juan Alicia. He worked at Epstein's Palm Beach location. He was an employee. And I'm piecing together now what I think happened, but it's limited, right? How many times did he see females there? Hundreds. He's seen hundreds. He saw many, many females. He was testifying. They were often topless. And this is the place where... Why didn't that update? Oops. This is the place where, Epstein's taking these young girls, right? And there's just topless women everywhere. Got to fly back down here to get the updates. There we go. Guess I updated that page before I refreshed it. Boom. All right. Paul Kane of New York City's Children's School testified yesterday. The grooming expert yesterday. Then Juan. Boom. All right, so Juan testified again this morning, and what he did, this is where I'm starting to piece together things. I'm trying to get what happened here. He basically was stealing from Epstein, and somebody filed a police report on him. And enter Gregory Parkinson, former Palm Beach police officer, who does this investigation. And I stopped researching right after this, so we're going to have to jump over to Twitter and read it live. Basically, he starts seeing these pictures. He starts seeing weird things. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. a picture of the Pope with them. That's not the weird part. What did he say? He saw like a lot of photos of young girls around. He just saw a lot of weird things that piqued his interest. And that's what led him to start investigating, I believe, into Epstein. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, man, they're still going. And I kind of wanted to get on here right as we're wrapping up so we wouldn't have to sit around waiting like we've been doing. So, okay, and then something else interesting happened too, was that basically the state keeps filing exhibits under seal. Nothing's going out to the public. And I guess the jury went to go watch a 39-minute video at one point, which is all under seal. And apparently the judge is actually starting to say that the government's concealing too much and they need to make more of this information public. So even the judge at this point is saying, look, you guys are just, you guys are going too far with concealing everything here. Close my... Sorry, neighbors getting loud right now, distracting me. Yeah, now, so Inner City Press here. Again, this guy is crushing it. Go check him out at Inner City Press. Now even Judge Nathan says U.S. has gone too far in sealing an entire 39-minute video. Says some portions should be made public. The Comey says, we'll work on that. Inner City Press clips when. So even the judge at this point is like, guys, let's come on now. Okay, jurors, time to break for snacks. Boom. All right, let's turn to exhibit blah, blah, blah. So I don't really know what happens. It's going to be a little bit messy right now. Not that it hasn't been. We're back to mass sealing. So they're still sealing exhibit. And maybe, I think a lot of this is probably things that people don't want to see. We offer this massage table into evidence. Did they they brought the massage table into the courtroom? Wow. Yeah. So they brought Parkinson comes out of the witness box and touches the government exhibit 51, the green massage table. So they brought his massage table in the courtroom. And then they made the man touch it. Poor guy. Touch this. I'd be like, I'm not touching that. Are you kidding me? Parkinson. Now the table is in an open position. Photo of the massage table on its side, where it was manufactured, California. Probably had a fire warning on there, or a cancer label, if that's the case. Mr. Everdale, you may cross. You previously investigated a burglary there, correct? True. So he was investigating a burglary, a break-in. Let's go with that. Parkinson says, true. And Mr. Epstein said that several $1,000s had been taken, right? True. Everdale is jumping around with his question, laughing uncomfortably now. He asked Parkinson about exhibit sealed. Boom. More sealed exhibits. So it's really hard to tell what's happening here because not only is everything being sealed, we have to filter through. This is what we're getting. And then the mass media comes out with stories later in the day. And with that, without apparently landing a punch, Everdale's cross-examination of Parkinson is over. You may step down, Mr. Parkinson. So that was the detective that I think started to look into Epstein. What were you doing? What were you looking for? So Dawson comes in. Not sure who Dawson is. Michael Dawson from Palm Beach, Florida, a new witness. So we got another witness down there from Palm Beach, Florida, which was one of Epstein's main properties. What were you looking for during the search? Massage tables. I think this is a police officer here. Massage tables, oil, sex toys. There were lots of photos of nude females. We seized a phone book, a massage table, a photo of a nude female, a sex toy called the torpedo. Why did they have to say what it was called? Now cross-examination. I'm going to prove up an inconsistent statement. Judge Nathan, confer this. After a time, Maxwell's lawyer, we need a sidebar. Boom. Another sidebar. Donate to this dude on PayPal. Now questioning turns to Juan Alicia's admission of stealing from Epstein. It's now 4:59. Cross-examination interrupts. So Juan, again being the guy that worked there, he was stealing from Epstein. we're done for the week. Obey my instructions. So cool. So that's it. That's good. That's how I wanted that to end up. I'll jump over to you guys. I have no idea what's happening in the YouTube, so I'm kind of afraid to look. Hopefully the sound was good and everything, because I haven't looked once. Then we're going to jump into this, but I want to check, make sure everything's good over there. All right, how you guys doing? Have a rabbit. Let's see. Hey, dudes. How's the shit? All right, I'm just looking at the comments now. How's it going, Lightning Bug? Where's the chicken? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I almost posted a video of them earlier drinking from their thing, but... Oh, Lord. Fast Tech. Ahoy! Olaf from Portland. Where's everybody from? We got Portland, we got Texas. Boom. How's everyone doing? This is BS. It's about controlling with blackmail. Yeah, a lot of this probably did have to do with blackmail. All right, I'm going to jump straight on over to that report so I don't lose my track here, because I don't want to be on here all night. That's for shizzle. That's for shizzy. All right, me and window. Boom. All right, I got this bang right here. All right, so in this report, basically, is everything that led up to what happened with this. And I just want to read some of these key points here. Comfy. Canada. Oh, Lord. Florida. Let me see. Are jurors missing? No. No jurors are missing. All right, I'm going to jump into this here. Well, a lot of people are probably implicated in this, so, only time's going to tell what's really going to happen. Fortunately, there are some people that make things happen in the FBI, and I want to go over this because how this even came about was because of one article. The reason that the charges were... We'll get to it. I don't want to jump ahead because I'll get myself confused. All right, let's jump into this report on Epstein. Because this was pretty interesting to me. All right, let me zoom it in there for. And guys, if you want to go over to the Telegram group, this whole PDF, I just put it in there the other day. Granted, you're probably not going to want to look at it on your phone if that's what you're watching on, because it's 300 pages. Yeah, looks a little blurry, but it'll be all right. All right. So I'm going to read through this. Ready. All right. The Palm Beach, Florida Police Department began investigating Epstein in 2005 after the parents of a 14-year-old girl complained that Epstein had paid her for a massage. Epstein was a multimillionaire financier with residencies in Palm Beach, New York City, and others in the United States and foreign locations. The investigation led to the discovery that Epstein used personal assistants to recruit girls to provide massages for him, and in many instances, those massages led to sexual activity. And this is a report from the FBI, the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility. All right. Skipping ahead a little bit here. Boom. Okay, wait. After the Palm Beach Police Department brought the case to the state attorney's office, a Palm Beach County grand jury indicted Epstein on July 19, 2006 for felony solicitation of prostitution in violation of Florida Statute 769.07. However, because the BP Police Department chief and the lead detective were dissatisfied with the state attorney's handling of the case and believed the state grand jury's charge did not address the totality of Epstein's conduct, they referred the matter to the FBI in West Palm Beach for a possible federal investigation. The FBI brought the matter to an assistant attorney general, who opened a file with her supervisor's approval with the knowledge then that the U.S. Attorney General, Alexandra Acosta, so they open up a 60-count indictment outlining charges against Epstein. I have not found that yet. 60 counts. So keep in mind this whole time, we're talking about this guy was charged with 60 counts, and what happens in the end is not justice, and that's why this whole report was opened. For several weeks following the submission of the prosecution memorandum and proposed indictment, the Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General, Supervisor reviewed the case to determine how to proceed. On July 31st, 2007, meeting with Epstein's attorneys, the USAO offered to end its investigation if Epstein pled to the state charges, agreed to serve a minimum of 2 years incarceration, registered as a sex offender, and agreed to a mechanism through which victims could be paid monetary damages. So, Florida finds one charge. They charge him with it, but they feel like that there's something bigger going on, and they weren't wrong. So they get the FBI involved. The FBI opens up a 60-count indictment, but quickly offers Epstein a plea deal that if he just pleads guilty to Florida's charge, the one single charge, I believe one or maybe it was two, one charge of literally sexual assault of a minor. If he agreed to that, he would get a minimum of 2 years in prison and register as a sex offender. And I guess what they were trying to do is get a victim compensation fund, which they did do. As we know, Jane was compensated. The one on the stand has been compensated $5 million for what happened to her. So I guess what was happening, I don't know. So there's two things that could have happened. Either they were giving him an easy slap on the wrist because they are co-opted and corrupt, or they knew that proceeding with all of the charges would likely lead to a year. Well, I guess it's lazy, to be honest with you. But also Epstein's rich, so he can afford good lawyers. So maybe they were afraid that somehow his lawyers would weasel him out of it completely. So they wanted him to plead guilty to being a sex offender so that at least they'd have that and then create a compensation fund. So it's either, they could have done it because at least they would get that for the victims. But this gets reopened because that wasn't acceptable to anyone. So even after getting that plea deal, he still, for a while, for a long time, I don't know how long, Epstein still won't plead. He keeps trying to get a better sentence than that. Eventually, he pleads guilty and signs a non-prosecution agreement. And for the next 9 months, Epstein deployed. So he deployed an extensive team of attorneys to basically prolong it for 9 months. Then he finally pleads guilty to what was supposed to be an 18-year term, but didn't end up that way. All right, let me see. So I want to skip some of this without reading the whole thing, but I don't want to skip the important things. Okay. So basically that happens. Skipping ahead. On July 7th, 2008, a victim identified as Jane Doe filed in federal court in the Southern District of Florida an emergency petition alleging the government violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act when it resolved the federal investigation of Epstein without consulting with victims in seeking enforcement of her Crime Victims' Rights Act. In responding to the petition, the government, represented by the USAO, revealed the existence of the Non-Prosecution Agreement. So this wasn't even public until she sued, but did not produce it to the petitioners until the court directed it to be turned over, subject to a protective order. The NPA itself remained under seal, in the federal district court after initial filings and hearings. The CVR case was dormant for almost 2 years while petitioners pursued civil cases against Epstein. Soon after he was incarcerated, Epstein applied for the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Work Release Program, and the sheriff of Palm Beach County approved his application. In October of 2008, Epstein began spending 12-hour days purportedly working at the Florida Science Foundation, an entity Epstein had recently incorporated that was co-located at the West Palm Beach office of one of Epstein's attorneys. So he just creates his corporation right before he goes to jail, and he gets to spend 12-hour days there when he's supposed to be in jail. So he's getting out on 12 hours a day of work release. Then, to make matters even crazier, it just keeps getting whittled down. It's wild. I mean, at least they did get the plea of guilt in there. But on, let's see. Although the NPA specified a term of 18 months, Epstein received gain time, that is, time for good behavior, and he actually served less than 13 months of incarceration. On July 22, 2009, Epstein was released to the one-year term of probation. So, I mean, this guy he got off. He went from 60-count indictment down to pleading guilty for one charge. They said you'll get 2 years. Then they went it down to 18 months. Then he serves 13 months on work release, 12-hour days. So this guy, nothing happened. Although the victims did get compensated, whatever that means monetarily. But just wild. So by 2010, Epstein reportedly settled multiple civil lawsuits brought to him by victims seeking monetary damages. So then this guy who worked out the plea agreement, the non-prosecution agreement, in 2017, President Trump nominated Acosta to be Secretary of Labor at his March 2017 confirmation hearing. Acosta was only questioned briefly about the Epstein case. On April 17, 2017, the Senate confirmed Acosta's appointment as Labor Secretary. So his prosecutor also gets promoted. He just keeps working his way up the system despite this kind of behavior. This is what I found interesting. This is because I always like to see how the press gets involved with things. This is the most interesting thing to me, right here. In the decade following his release from incarceration, Epstein reportedly continued to settle multiple civil lawsuits brought by many, but not all of his victims. Epstein was otherwise able to resume his lavish lifestyle, largely avoiding interest from the press. However, on November 28th, 2018, so we're talking about nearly 10 years later after he got out of jail, the Miami Herald published an extensive investigative report about state and federal crimes investigations initiated more than 12 years earlier into allegations that Epstein had coerced girls into engaging into sexual activity with him at his Palm Beach estate. The Miami Herald reported that in 2007, Acosta entered an extraordinary deal with Epstein in the form of a non-prosecution agreement. And basically, he was not only that, they said the charges he had were prostitution. But the girl was a minor. So I don't know how he got off with prostitution. That's what went around the press. If you look it up, it says he was arrested for he pled guilty to prostitution, not abusing a minor. Moving forward to February 2019. So nobody was paying attention to this until November of 28th of 2018, when the Miami Herald published this extensive coverage. That's what reignited this, because they went out of their way to do this investigative piece. It caught somebody's eye in the FBI, and they decided to reopen this investigation. maybe because there was so much, maybe the public got enraged and called up and said, you guys got to do something. Do something. Like, this is ridiculous. On February 21st, 2019, the district court granted the Cvr Case petitioner's motion for a partial summary judgment, ruling that the government violated what is it? These are new words to me. Basically, her rights as a victim for failing to advise the victims about the intention to enter into a non-prosecution agreement. So basically, when the government is operating on behalf of victims, it's supposed to keep them in the loop and say, hey, we're going to do this, or how do you guys feel about this? They didn't even tell them. They just settled this with Epstein on the side. On July 2nd, 2019, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District Court obtained a federal grand jury indictment charging Epstein with 1 count of sex trafficking with minors and 1 count of conspiracy to commit trafficking of minors. The indictment alleged that from 2002 until 2005, Epstein created a vast network of victims in both New York and Florida whom he sexually opposed and exploited. Epstein was arrested on the charges on July 6th, 2019. In arguing for Epstein's pretrial detention, prosecutors asserted that agents searching Epstein's Manhattan residence found thousands of nude and half-nude females, including at least one believed to be a minor. The court ordered Epstein detained pending trial, and he was removed to the custody of the bureaus of I cannot read today, I don't know why. the Bureau of Prisons, and held at the Metropolitan Correctional Facility in Manhattan. Meanwhile, after the publication of the 2018 Miami Herald report, the media and Congress increasingly focused attention on Acosta as the government official responsible for the NPA. So he's working under Trump's cabinet now, and he's getting a lot of heat because of that non-prosecution agreement. So this is in the public eye. Acosta stated that the Palm Beach State's attorney's office was ready to allow Epstein to walk free with no jail time. Nothing. According to Acosta, because USAO prosecutors considered this outcome unacceptable, his office pursued a difficult and challenging case and obtained a resolution that put Epstein in jail, forced him to register as a sex offender, and provided his victims with a means of monetary compensation. Acosta's press conference did not end the controversy, however. In July 12, 2019, Acosta submitted to the president his resignation as Secretary of Labor. In a brief oral statement, Acosta explained that the continued media attention and the handling of the Epstein investigation, rather than on the economy, was unfair to the Labor Department. On August 10th, 2019, Epstein was found hanging in his cell and was later pronounced dead at the New York City chief medical examiner concluded that Epstein had committed suicide. As a result of Epstein's death, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District Court of New York filed a nolo prosecution, it's Latin for not prosecute, did not prosecute, to dismiss the pending indictment against Epstein. On August 27, 2019, the district court held a hearing at which more than a dozen of Epstein's victims, including the victims from Florida, that were addressed in the NPA, spoke about the impact of Epstein's crimes. The court dismissed the Epstein indictment on August 29, 2019. After Epstein's death, the federal court of Florida, overseeing the CVRA litigation, denied the petitioners their requested remedies and closed the case as moot. Among its findings, the court concluded that although the government had violated the CVRA, the government had asserted legitimate and legal supportable positions through this litigation, and therefore it had not litigated in bad faith. The court also noted it expected the government to honor its representation that it will provide its training to its employees about the CVRA and the proper treatments of crime victims. On September 30th, 2019, petitioner Jane Doe filed her true name, in a petition of writ of mandamus in the United States Court of Appeals, the 11th Circuit Court, seeking a review of the district court's order denying all of her requested remedies. In its response brief, the government argued that as a matter of law, the legal obligations under the CVRA do not attach prior to the government charging the case, and thus the CVRA was not triggered, and blah, blah, blah. Nothing interesting there, really. So, I did not... So then we get into... And I'll research this and I'll cover it more next video. The initiation of the scope... The initiation and scope of the OPR's investigation. So, basically, what we have here is this document right here. Boom. Department of Justice, Office of Responsibility, Professional Responsibility. They're responsible for making sure that bad deals like this don't actually happen. And they looked into it. And at some point in here, I'm sure Maxwell comes up. I'm confident that that this report somehow leads to Maxwell in prison. I don't know that yet. But that's why I read that. I thought that was interesting. And I also thought it was interesting that nobody was picking up on this until the media, the Miami Herald. Everybody gets on the press, the fake news, and I get it. But there are a lot of good media outlets out there, like the Miami Herald, obviously, who shed a light on something this important that actually brought about some kind of action that wasn't going to happen otherwise. Dang, there's a lot of people in here now. I look away. That's awesome. How's everybody doing? Sorry, guys. All right, I'll read some of your comments now. I just wanted to read through that. And again, if you join our Telegram group, you can see I put it up there recently. Epstein killed Ghislaine's dad. Somebody says. Ghislaine's dad. My sound system keeps buzzing, does it? Let me see. Hopefully it's not terrible. I know what you're talking about. It's done that before. I don't know. It wasn't doing that for a while, but... Not as late as I thought. Ooh, that was great. Good Lord, that guy put a lot of messages in there. I can't see through. How's everybody doing tonight? Where are you guys tuning in from? Where are you coming from here? There's a lot more people than the last time I asked that. Oh, and guys, drop a like button on there. I might not be on here much longer. That was what I wanted to cover. If you guys can drop that like, though, so more people can find it once it goes up after. I appreciate it. I don't know. He's not dead. Some people say he's not dead. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I think that this became such a big story that he couldn't get away with what he did anymore. He spent more time in jail at his death than he ever did after pleading guilty to the charges from Florida. So he was actually... His luck ran out is what happened. I think he may have killed himself. After reading this, how he kept getting away with it, he stayed out of jail. You know, he was able to go off on work release, and then him being in jail, in prison for months, having to face this, he may have killed himself. I think that might have happened. When it first happened, I remember, I was definitely one of the suspicious ones, but, reading that, the dude's life was over. He was going to go to prison for life. He was never going to get out. So it's not shocking. Zark Muckerberg. Is the government trying to prove trafficking without taking legal action? I think that now that it's in the public spotlight, it's going to take years, because this was published in 2020, November. And when was Maxwell charged? When was she indicted? I don't know where her indictment went on my desk, but I think it was fairly recently. Does anybody know when she was indicted? When was Ghislaine indicted? I don't know where I put it. Got too many daggone documents. But the point is I think that the fact that Ghislaine is being prosecuted, and even I think that that's actually a sign that the government will do something. I think that that's actually a good sign, because after reading this, they could have just swept it under the rug again. And Epstein's dead. Oh well, we couldn't do anything. But now Maxwell's on the stand, and people are now more people than ever are aware. It's not just people who kind of, read different alternative news. It's a public thing now, so the public's only going to become more aware of what Epstein was doing and how many people were actually involved. So I actually think that more charges are going to come of this. I don't think it's going to be like, people get all excited and they're like, oh my God, the system, they're all going down. I don't think so, unfortunately. But I think that there will continue to be a domino effect from this. I do think so. His neck muscles were fractured. His neck, you mean his you can't fracture a muscle. You must mean his collarbone. His neck bones are. I don't think there's bones in there. Is there cartilage? Muscles isn't the word, though. That's my point. Nobody will ever go after Clinton or Gates for crimes. Is Gates implicated with this? I mean, I know he's weird, but I haven't seen his name connected. And yeah, Clinton, probably not. Probably not. But there will be other names. There will be others. I'm confident in that. Does anybody know when Maxwell was indicted? I do want to know that for the future. He didn't kill himself for that, that's for sure. Again, though, this is a guy who had a lavish lifestyle, got to do whatever he wanted. When he was charged, after pleading guilty to having sex with minors, he was charged with 18 months. He got off in 13, and half of that he spent working. So he wasn't even in jail that whole time. So this guy was living a lavish lifestyle. The fact that he went into prison and stayed in prison for months, I wouldn't be shocked if he killed himself. But I wouldn't be shocked if someone killed him either. I like to leave my window open, but the daggone flies are coming in today. It was so nice out. Speaking of which, so I got my old light in here, and man, it puts out it must be putting out 300 or 400 degrees. It's freaking hot. But I like the lighting's way better today, in my opinion. In my opinion. Boom. Don't you think so? I mean, look how even that is. That's just one light. Well, other than that one. Well, that's not doing anything. All wealthy people. Bonnie and Clyde. Autocorrect is evil. It is. It is. They can't show themselves. They're already on house arrest, self-imposed. Yeah, good. Well, there you go. That is a way to think about it. MAGA CAG. I don't know what that last word is, but they can't show themselves in public. They are already on house arrest, self-imposed, and that's I believe that is a form of justice, I suppose, if you think about it. A lot of people were on house arrest this last year because of all the restrictions and nonsense, but And again, guys, if you guys want to hear that, I wrapped up the case. We're doing through the trial. The most, Oh, did I say today that I forgot the defense keeps saying the name of the witness on the stand, the Jane that's supposed to be hidden. They keep saying her name, almost seem like it's intentional. I hate to ask for likes, but I just want to see that number be 100. Can we get up to 100 likes, guys? We're so close. Let's do it. Let's get up to 100. I want to see a nice 3-digit number up there. Buzzing sound. Is it bad? Buzzing sound. It might be this XLR. Actually, I can probably watch it up here. I think it's this cheap cable. Remember one time. Yes, it's still there, but remember this one time. Daggone. I can only see it, but so I don't know how bad it is. Hopefully it's somewhat low. Oh yeah, one time I was using this and I was listening, and daggone a radio station came through on it, like an antenna. I could hear like an FM station. Like what in the world? Of course, Gates is implicated. I did ask that earlier. He's one. Thanks. There you go, guys. Thank you. It's one of the reasons his wife divorced him. Could be. Could be. Very well could be. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'll try changing the only comes around temporarily. All right, so it doesn't sound like it's terrible, but I do see I see it on the. It seems to be there really low all the time for some reason. It's got to be the cable. But anyways, I don't want to be distracted by that all the time. He says as Mike. I don't know, guys. I can't make it go away right now. Sorry. One time at band camp. Why? It's coming from his home CIA base. I want to make a trailer for my channel that talks about how I'm really just deep state. It's just like because people say it all the time. It's so funny. Yo, you're a deep state agent. Remember, like for years though. I mean, that's always been a thing. I remember one time I made this thing about they thought they got rid of religious exemptions in New York for vaccines, and they didn't. And I read the court case, and I said this woman lost because of this. Like, it was because she made like 7,000 claims about vaccines and how about this and that. And the judge literally gave her. He said why he didn't do it, and he said if you didn't make so many claims and you proved just this one, I would have said I would have awarded you the case, but because she made so many claims, he said no. Like, he didn't believe it was sincere or something, which you can disagree with that too. But then everybody thought that religious exemptions went away in New York, which now I think they actually have. Back then they weren't gone. And the point is, I had comments, people saying, "Oh, you must be CIA deep state." I'm like, for what? I don't even understand. Not a stable cable. Yeah, it probably is the cable. Let me see, because I mean, I went through everything that I wanted to go through. And I know, of course, everyone gets here after I read most of it for the most part. But I did at the beginning, guys. I did summarize it like the video says. I'll go through it again. Why not? Why not? That's why everybody's here. I'll go through it one more time. But you can also rewatch the video. I probably did a better job then than I'll do right now. Because I'm not going to do the whole week either, because I've already done the first 2 days 1,000 times. We'll see. What do you guys think the electronics are that the pilot keeps talking about? What are those electronics? And I got to do a poll. I forgot to do a poll. Let's see. Yeah. Boom. Ask you. So, all right. So Monday, Tuesday, I already went, I've done that a million times, and I assume that you guys have already heard that. But what do you guys think those electronics are? What are those electronics that pilot kept talking about? I find the whole what transpired to be interesting, that this guy Juan used to work for Epstein in Palm Beach. And he was stealing from Epstein, essentially. And Epstein reports a burglary. Oh, my gosh. I don't know if have I ever been able to say that word? I don't know. He reports that somebody broke into his home. Just so he's... What? It says, just sub. He's only kinda gay. What the fuck? What does that even mean? Oh my god. Anyways, we find that Juan was stealing from the home. Epstein reports a burglary. Oh my god. I'm going to delete that word from my memory bank. And the police start to investigate his house. They find odd things, photographs, and toys, and he finds some weird things. And that's where we're at, man. I got nothing, to be honest with you guys. I'm going to jump off here in a second. He's only kind of gay. It's so stupid. Oh my god. I guess we can look at the non-prosecution agreement for a moment. For just a moment. Because really, I didn't, I did what I wanted to do. If you guys are bored, I'm sorry. Check out the beginning. I did what I planned on. So by the time I finished what I wanted to do, everyone shows up all of a sudden. You mother buzz. Let's see. Boom. The non-prosecution agreement is right here. You can fly through that really fast. So, basically, it appearing that the City of Palm Beach Police Department and the State Attorney's Office for the 15th Judicial Court and for Palm Beach County, herein the blah blah blah, it appearing blah blah blah, it appearing blah blah blah. All right. This is the document that Epstein eventually signs. that the United States Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted their own investigation into Epstein's background and any offenses that may have been committed by Epstein against the United States from in or around 2001 through in or about 2007, including knowingly and willfully conspiring with others, known and unknown, to commit an offense against the United States, that is, to use a facility or means of interstate or foreign commerce to knowingly persuade, induce, or entice minor females to engage in prostitution. So again, he was only charged with prostitution when they knew they were minors. I don't know how that guy, it's just, he obviously had a lot of influence and nobody wanted to prosecute him, which indicates that Palm Beach, Florida might have something going on there. That's not where that one famous sheriff is from, is it? A guy that's always popping up. He's just probably the funniest sheriff of the year. Knowingly and willfully conspiring with others, known and unknown, to travel in interstate commerce for the purpose of engaging in illicit sexual conduct, using a facility or means or interstate travel to. That's how the federal government wouldn't be able to step in if he wasn't crossing state lines, which is a thing. It's a point we keep seeing being raised in the trial too. Like, oh, they were like, you crossed state lines, right? That's why they're making that point, because otherwise the federal government has no case. And actually, that was one of the things that in that thing I was reading earlier that I skipped past somewhere. The lawyers on Epstein's lawyers were essentially arguing the federal government has no case here because it wasn't interstate. That was their argument. Not that he didn't do it. Knowingly in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, recruiting, enticing, and obtaining by any means a person knowing that the person had not attained the age of 18 and would be caused to engage in a commercial sex act. And so this is the non-prosecution agreement that was signed. And just ridiculous. Ridiculousness. And again, guys, all these the document. This is all I stapled it together, but it's actually part of this gigantic document, which is in the Telegram group. You guys can find it there. All right, guys, I'm gonna jump off here. Let's see. What will the jury's verdict be in the Maxwell trial? 75% guilty, 9% not guilty, 15% believe hung jury. I think that's more guilty than last time. Last time it was I think it was, I don't know. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. I could sit on here for hours, but I want the replay to be something people can watch to get information from, more so than me just reading the chat. Although I would love to. Don't forget to click that like button. How about the defense doxing the victim Jane today? Yeah, apparently it's not the first time they've done it. They've said her name several times. It seems to be a strategy to maybe move from mistrial, but I mean, she's not going to get out of jail with that. So I don't know what the point is. Thanks, Lulu. Turn state's evidence, you can bet. There's a lot going on in Palm Beach. Yeah, I mean, the sheriff let the guy out on work release. 12 hours a day. Oh, be sure you guys subscribe. See you again, lady. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. Because I had something else in mind entirely when I started doing this, so just kind of evolving as I go along. I do prefer having what I want to say lined up first. So that's nice. I don't know. I probably won't be on Monday or anything like that about this. I might pop on about some other thing. But, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm going to jump off. Take care, guys.